Hi, I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. If you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you would already know that the title of tonight's show is actually a question. It's a question that I don't really have the answer to either, so maybe you and I can solve it together over the summer, because that question is, how long can a lie last? Now, there's all kinds of lies. Maybe this lie that has lasted for a while is a great big lie. Maybe it's done by very important people. Maybe it's done by different countries. That would be huge, wouldn't it? But there's also the kind of lies that you and I tell each other every day, because it's when we're kidding ourselves. We can be kidding ourselves about our diets. We can be kidding ourselves about our ambition or our family or where we live. There's all kinds of things that we can just be kidding ourselves about. But if you do that long enough, you could run into a little bit of trouble by refusing to face reality. And it just happens that now we have 3 retrograde planets. By the end of the month, we'll have 4 of them. So when planets go retrograde or backward in their orbit, they're going over a ground they've already covered before, and they're picking up more information, so that when they go direct, they'll bring additional information with them, and that is when we will find out more truth than we know now. And so perhaps when that happens, we will know how long a lie can last, because there can be a lot more undercover work done, or re-examination of facts. And in fact, we can actually sort of go after the truth right now. We may as well, because with the 3 retrograde planets now, and then a 4th one coming by the end of the month, and at times this summer there could be as many as 6 retrograde planets. With all of them going backward, it's really going to slow things down. And because it slows things down, we are going to be able to slow down and maybe just examine the way we are thinking right now. Because after all, we're right in between 2 eclipses. Last week we had a total lunar eclipse at 5 degrees of Sagittarius. And that is a very high-minded sign that likes to get at the truth, even if it takes a long time to do that, in order to get all the facts together. And then next week, we are having a solar eclipse at 20 degrees of Gemini on June 10th. And so it's nice that we're sort of in between right now, and we can slow down and think a little bit about how long a lie can last. And so with 3 retrograde planets, with Venus retrograde, or with Mercury retrograde in Gemini, it simply means that there can be a sort of a change in the tone of communication. Maybe people are not quite willing to swallow the same old lines they've heard before. Maybe they want a little bit more truth with their news these days. Who knows? And then also Saturn is now retrograde in Aquarius. Saturn is a very steady planet, and it rules stability. But since it is retrograde in the sign of the future, it means that, are we sure that the way the world is today is really is going to be stable for the future? Is there something else that we can be searching for that might be a little more solid, and that we can count on as we move forward in our future and the future of our loved ones? Maybe that's so. And then Pluto is retrograde in Capricorn, and Pluto is a planet of powerful truth. It's in a business sign like Capricorn, which rules management in large corporations or government agencies, and there could be some changes at the top as people re-examine the real truth about some people in highly placed positions. And what could that truth be about? Well, the main thing that every single one of us in America lives by is the idea that America is of the people, by the people, and for the people. And we express that by electing people to represent us, right? And they're all elected. They have to sort of compete in order to get elected. So that's fine. But there are also a lot of people in high places that aren't elected, and they are appointed, and they are everywhere. And if you're appointed, you might have gotten your job because you've got a friend in a high place, but you don't owe anybody anything for that except your friend. In other words, you don't have to answer to we the people because we didn't vote for you. And so people who are in elected capacity and who tend to handle their oath of office in a way that is perhaps, let's say, a little more personal, meaning that they have no intention of upholding the law that they have been appointed to, but instead they may want to manipulate it, perhaps for their own ends in one way or another, or to follow their own philosophy or their own hidden agenda. That is possible. And so that's why I'm just asking, how long can a lie last? Because we are entering a period of time when we need to get back on our feet from the pandemic. We want to get back on our feet, and we don't want to wear masks anymore. But are we a people really of the people, for the people? Is that the way we're really working? Or is it these days that we have been corralled like cattle into the submission of our freedoms? And, you know, there could have been a power shift going on during that pandemic that we didn't quite notice. We noticed the pandemic, we didn't notice the power shift. And now that power shift can mean that we are not of the people, by the people, but that government is over the people and can tell us what to do. Now, trying to save our lives is a good idea. But if there's a whole bunch of people that were never elected in the first place, but were only appointed, and have the ability to move big money, American taxpayers' dollars around, they could even do something that is somewhat questionable and not be questioned. After all, are we supposed to just take what they say or they do, particularly if they haven't been elected? Maybe we have to take a little look at some of the decisions that people who are not elected have carried out on their own and ask ourselves, is there a lie around somewhere? Has somebody been kidding themselves a lot? Is it us or is it them? Well, we need to find that out. And there are going to be so many retrograde planets this summer that we'll have time to find that out. And that's why it isn't that there hasn't been a lie around somewhere, it's that we don't know how long it's going to last. But I would say it's probably going to last until we expose it. And then it'll probably stop. And so we can be thinking about that as these planets go retrograde and as we come under the influence of both eclipses. The one last week, which was a total lunar eclipse, and the one next week that is a solar eclipse and denotes a new beginning. All right, what does this idea of how long does a lie last mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Well, Aries. You can be sort of not really thinking about charging forward on your own right now. And the reason why is there are not a lot of planets in the fire signs, but there will be soon, Aries. So my advice to you is take a vacation right now if you can. Because by the middle of June, your ruler, Aries, Mars, is going to move into Leo, where it will stay until the end of July. So that's about 6 weeks. And it will be trining your sun. You are either going to be exceptionally busy or you are going to be on the offense, trying to get things underway, trying to get something going. It may be that you'd like to get back to something that's a little bit more normal in your life. And remember, we just had a total lunar eclipse, which means one woman goes and another woman comes. But the one who's going will never be able to resume the influence she once had. And that could be because she's going to feel a little better without it and be able to go on her way in a more private way. So if that could pertain to you somehow, Aries, I would say that by the time Mars gets into Leo and trines your sun, you are going to have to make some sort of move. It probably will be in order to stabilize your finances. And the reason why is between the end of June and between the middle of June and the end of July, all three malefic planets will be squaring and opposing each other, and that means financial problems. So Mars in Leo is going to be opposing Saturn in Aquarius, and those two planets are both going to be trined by Uranus in Taurus. So, okay, we had a lot of gridlock at the start of the year. Now we're going to be entering a dangerous time this summer when that gridlock appears again, but also health hazards can occur because Leo rules the heart, the back, and the blood supply. So I would say that, Aries, just try to be as safe as you can and try to get a lot of little things taken care of, because I think you're going to be real busy in a couple more weeks. And it might be that you have to sort of either defend yourself or your friends, or you may be deciding, oops, I've had enough of this, I want to strike out in a new direction, which you really could do, and which I suggest you do. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Taurus, this is a time when I think that you can be taking a look at things with just a financial eye right now. Yours is a fixed financial sign, and you have just a real good brain, Taurus, for determining the value of assets. Now, that isn't just in the investment field. That wouldn't be just stocks and bonds or whatever else you invest in. It also could be in commercial real estate, because that's what your sign rules. Or it could be in just tangible assets that are around. In other words, the car you drive, the home you live in, the things you own. You might want to start taking inventory of what's yours, Taurus. And the question you might want to ask yourself is, is there anything that I've been kidding myself about? Well, fixed signs sometimes do kid themselves because they're so naturally fixed. They stay focused on something even after they're really no longer interested in it anymore. And that could be happening to you, Taurus. You're going to be entering a time when all the malefic planets will be squaring and opposing each other between the mid-June and end of July. And I think you're going to hit what we call rough water. And by that, what I mean is, if anybody, but particularly the fixed signs, have taken any kind of a gamble, they probably are going to lose it or lose their investment. So this is a good time now for you to take inventory of everything that you have, Taurus, and try to keep things, try to keep your ambition well contained in a small area. You do not need to be the richest person in the world throughout the summer. You need to be the safest. So go for safety, Taurus, and nothing else right now. Because this lie, whatever it is, this deception, this giant deception, I think, that could have affected all of us, even if we didn't know it at the time, that is going to begin to come out. That will unfold under these retrograde planets. That's why I say don't aim for something real high, Taurus. Try to stay safe, sound, and stable throughout the summer. And pat yourself on the back if you can manage that, because I don't think it's going to be easy. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Well, Gemini, this is a time when, you can still be popular. Venus is in your sign. Mercury is too, and so is the sun. But the problem is it's going to change, and that's because Mercury is now retrograde. And Mercury is so sharply squaring Neptune in Pisces right now. All the planets in your sign are squaring all the planets in Pisces, okay? But the two rulers, Mercury in your sign and Neptune in Pisces, are in exact square right now. And they're both terribly strong because they both rule the signs they're in. And that means since Mercury and Gemini rule the media and Pisces rules things hidden behind the scenes, that's why I'm asking the question, how long does a lie last? Because somebody's not telling the truth these days. And it's either getting covered up or hidden or just not mentioned, or there can be some selective forgetting, or there can be people that are just kidding themselves a lot. So see, there's all kinds of ways you can lie to yourself. But I don't necessarily mean that it's personal. What I mean is that it can be done at an organized higher level, and it can hurt a lot of people. And so we need to find out about it so that it doesn't last, so that it comes to an end. And I think that there's going to be information coming out from behind the scenes that could be very challenging for you, Gemini, even though you are very popular right now. So I advise you to just sort of go slow. Your sign rules communication. This may not be the summer for you to be communicating a lot. You need to think, or you can write things down. But I think that you should try to be as quiet as possible and let somebody else do the talking first. That way you are in a better position to defend yourself, which you might have to do. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Well, Cancer, this is a time when I think that you can almost be feeling that something is winding up for you. And it is, Cancer. And it's Mars in your sign. It's going to be moving into Leo really soon. And won't that be wonderful? Because it is not happy in a gentle little sign ruled by the moon like yours, Cancer, because Mars is so energetic and dynamic. And so it won't be getting opposed by Pluto anymore. Pluto is and has been opposing your sun sign for years, and it's going to stay that way until 2025. So there are always going to be people that want to make their own rules. These could be the people that have taken an oath of office to obey the law, but they were never elected. They were just appointed. So they are not answerable to we the people. And those people in high places could have made decisions that were bothering you, Cancer. And what I'm saying is try to reach behind the scenes, find out the real truth, because when the lies are exposed, they'll have to end. And that would make you a lot happier, Cancer. So I advise you to do a little detective work or do some really good research on something that you are interested in that does not seem to be the way it's being told. You know, if we're hearing news that doesn't sound too really believable, we should examine that a little closer, and maybe you can do that now. But the pressure is really going to be off you in just a few weeks, because Mars will be in Leo and not in your sign. So you may even be able to take a pretty nice vacation this summer, Cancer, and perhaps most of your worries for the year will be coming to a close, and that would be nice. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Well, Leo, you know, as I mentioned to Cancer, Mars is going to be changing signs pretty quick and coming into your sign, Leo. Well, that will sure rev you up, and it will be trining the sign it rules, Aries. That is one indication that you may be thinking of making a new start, or possibly you will have to make a new start for one reason or another, Leo. And it can be that there just isn't enough money around right now. Leo is a very creative sign, and Leo rules extravagance and generosity. So, you know, you might have been overspending a little bit, Leo. So is that something you've been kidding yourself about? Because, you know, the truth is going to show. And that is because when Mars comes into your sign, it will be opposing Saturn in Aquarius, and Aquarius rules the future. Mars and Saturn opposing each other, even just by themselves. There's more to this, but just by themselves, is an indication of a serious health problem, perhaps for the heart, the back, or the blood supply. And that could mar your future plans, Leo. And that is why you need to take very good care of yourself this summer. And boy, don't kid yourself about that, Leo. Really try to be healthy this summer and do everything right. Because Uranus in Taurus is also going to be squaring your sun. And if you end up in the hospital, it's going to be expensive. And besides, you know, if you could prevent a problem, that is so much better than having to fix one after you get it. So if there is a way that you can sort of take yourself on as number one patient and want to do everything right throughout the summer and not overdo anything, that would be a good idea. There will at times be money problems, and they don't necessarily have to be your fault, Leo. It can simply be that prices just go out of sight. Or it can be that money is allocated in different ways than it's supposed to be. And so that question comes up, you know, are you sure we haven't moved into something that is the government over the people instead of the people? And if people who are not elected can move our money around and do illegal things with it and not be held accountable, then where are we? We're in trouble because it's our money. And if it's anything illegal, then somebody is getting away with breaking the law and we're paying for it. So this is the time, Leo, to not kid yourself about anything for the whole summer long. And if prices get too high, just think of how to have summer fun without it costing too much. And you can do that, Leo. For one thing, Leo rules entertainment. You could be entertaining all by yourself, Leo. I mean, you could have a party and be the star of the party. So that wouldn't cost too much if you just did it at the beach or something like that. So you could think about that, because that would be a way to relieve stress. And believe me, you're going to need some ways to relieve stress this summer. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Virgo, this is a time when there are still so many planets in the generally versatile, mutable signs that they are sort of tense right now and under pressure and challenging each other. And that can be pretty hard to live with, Virgo, because yours is a mutable sign, but the planets in Gemini are squaring your sun, and the planets in Pisces are opposing your sun sign. I think, Virgo, that you are not too sure who or what to believe at this time. And Virgos like to see things add up. It rules accounting. And so they will tend to make their basis of judgment based on facts. Only, do you have all the facts, Virgo? That's all I'm saying. Are you sure that somebody hasn't been sort of gilding the lily and telling you little white lies, or maybe bending the truth to fit their own agenda rather than telling you the whole truth about something? This is a time when you really need to use your logical way of doing things and stick with it. In other words, instead of believing what you want to believe, just stick to the facts and see where they lead you, Virgo. Your sign rules health. So this is a time when you should try to be as healthy as possible, but in moderate ways, because your sign also rules moderation. And that is a good way to stay healthy, is to just do things in moderation. So I hope you really concentrate on that this summer. That could save you a lot of grief if you do that, Virgo. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Well, Libra, this is a time when you can still be very popular, since Venus and Mercury in Gemini are trining your sun, and so is that Saturn in Aquarius. But remember, Mercury is retrograde, and Saturn is retrograde, and Pluto is retrograde, and and Mercury, is we're going to have one more planet go retrograde by the end of the month. And so this is a time, Libra, when you could have a lot of different choices, but you know, some of them are time wasters. In other words, some of them just mean that you're filling up the day with something to do. But where will it get you, Libra? That's what you need to start asking yourself. Are the things that you're doing simply repetitious? They're simply filling up empty hours? Or are the things that you're doing, do they have a purpose that can help you achieve a goal? Because that's what you should be doing. The reason why I mentioned sort of a serious goal for you, Libra, is because Saturn is a very serious planet. And for the next 2.5 years, it will be in Aquarius, the sign of the future, trining your sun. The planets in Gemini are trining your sun now, but they'll move on. But that Saturn, it's not going to go anywhere. It is going to be trining your sun from Aquarius for the next 2.5 years. And that's why I'm asking you, just what are you serious about, Aquarius or Libra? You know, don't waste your time kidding yourself that you're doing everything you enjoy now. Well, that's nice, but where's it going to get you? If it's just the thrill of doing it, does that get you somewhere? Does that increase your reputation? Does it give you a sense of fulfillment? Are your family members happy with you? I mean, there's all kinds of reasons to do something, but they should add up after a while, Libra. And so this is a time when you need to think about some sort of serious goal that you probably do have. It could have something to do with a partnership or the law. And maybe it will take quite a bit of work. But you know, 2.5 years from now, you're going to be that much older. And if you're still just filling up time, maybe by then you'll realize you might have been wasting some precious time. Instead, you should be focusing on something that's going to make you a better person. And that's not being selfish. That's being, in a way, it's making you able to be more proud of yourself. And that's important. What does it mean to a Scorpio? Scorpio. This is a time when you have got to prepare for what one might call the last siege. In other words, if you have been feeling lately with so many planets and fixed signs challenging you at times that you were under siege in one way or another, then I think that what you're heading into in the last half of June and all of July is the last siege. Now, a siege means that somebody's getting pounded by somebody else, because that's like a battle, but you know, one force is much stronger than the other. I'm not necessarily thinking that you're the strongest force right now because you have been under a siege mentality by others for a while now. And, you know, you could be quite a survivor, and you are, Scorpio. Your sign rules survival. But the reason I say that you are now going to be under the last siege is because even the people that have been challenging you so harshly are going to be weakened a great deal, perhaps even more so than you, by this square that is going to come among the 3 malefic planets in the fixed signs. Yours is a fixed sign, but there won't be a malefic planet in your sign in the middle of June until the end of July. That's not going to happen to you, Scorpio. You're going to feel the brunt of these malefic planets squaring each other. Saturn in Aquarius, Mars in Leo, Uranus in Taurus. But you won't have a planet in your sign. And that is what I would say gives you room to move, okay? And so I think other people who have put you under siege this year are going to feel the heat, and they're going to feel it from each other. They may not even feel it from you, Scorpio. And so this is why I call it the last siege, because if you go ahead and survive this, Scorpio, you are sort of going to move into a very powerful position by November when there could be quite a bit of financial chaos, but it might not happen to you. So this is a time when you need to be extremely alert. And once again, this question I'm just throwing out to everybody. How long can a lie last? Whether it's a lie in a big scale that affects everybody in the world, or whether it's something that affects we the people, because there's been a power shift, and now it seems to be the government over the people, because so many people are not elected to office, but they have our money, and they're doing what they want with it. And, you know, that could end up being a crime, but we have to hold them accountable in order to correct it. So you've got some tough times this summer, Scorpio, but you are going to make it, perhaps better than the people that have been attacking you. So just play it cool. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Well, Sagittarius, you just had a full moon lunar eclipse in your sign last week. Oh boy, there's a lot of light in your sign then, Sagittarius. And it does definitely mean some sort of change. Of the 4 eclipses this year, 3 of them are in signs that rule change. 1 is in Gemini, that's coming up next week, and 2 of them are in your sign, Sagittarius. You just had a lunar eclipse last week, but in December you are going to have a solar eclipse in your sign, and oh boy, that's what you've been waiting for, Sagittarius. It's really going to be all systems go. So now the question just is, if I'm asking how long a lie can last, all I can say is with your fine mind, Sagittarius, could you please get that answer to all of us by the time the new moon comes into your sign? Because I think we need that. We need to go back and re-examine what is really stable now, and not follow new things that haven't been proven, but try to get back to normal. Because that's what we need to do after a year of a pandemic. We need to get back to simple, normal things that give us a stable base to build on. Well, you could help point the way, Sagittarius. You could figure out what the truth really is. And if some lies need to be exposed, go to it, Sagittarius. A whole lot of people need to be able to trust others, particularly the ones that weren't elected but are in positions of power. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Capricorn. This is a time when you are going to be somewhat out of the fray this summer. Oh, you're going to miss all the fighting, Capricorn. Well, that's good because you don't like to fight anyway. And I think the reason why you're going to miss it is that there's not a lot of planets in the cardinal signs. There were last year. You had your own problems last year, Capricorn. But this summer, I don't think you're going to be facing so many of them. And one of the reasons why is that there can be times this summer when people are not exactly noticing what you're doing, Capricorn. That's good. You should do what you want this summer. I don't think there's going to be a lot of people that have got their minds on your actions because they're going to be so involved in other things that are more important to them, such as the fallout from taking a gamble. That would be disastrous. Misplaced investments, or some sort of deception that comes out into the open due to all these retrograde planets that are going to go direct. So Capricorn, Pluto is retrograde in your sign. You can be re-examining the power structure that you have in your own mind about yourself. And you can be deciding and looking over what kind of power you have today and what kind of power you used to have. And you can decide what you want to do with that. I mean, you don't need everything. You don't need to be all things to all people anymore. You could choose a path that could be very self-fulfilling. And you wouldn't have too many challenges on that. So you may as well think about it, Capricorn. Do what you like. And that will make you powerful, particularly if it's based on truth. And no kidding about anything. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Well, Aquarius, This is a time when you too, just like the other fixed signs, have got to be prepared to do battle. And the reason why is that by the middle of June, after our solar eclipse that we're having next week, malefic planets will move into the fixed signs. And you already have one in your sign, Aquarius. It is Saturn, and that planet is retrograde. You can be re-examining what stability means to you and your future. And you know, it's going to be based on dollars and cents, Aquarius. And no, you know, Saturn is not a real emotional planet. It's in your sign for the next 2.5 years. And being that it's retrograde right now, you have to go back and ask yourself, okay, what is really important to you? Or what have you been kidding yourself about? Maybe you have to change the way you've been doing things a little bit. You probably do have to do that because by the middle of June, Mars will be in Leo for clear till the end of July, and it will be opposing Saturn in your own sign. That is a period of time that can produce many health problems for a lot of people, including you, Aquarius. And then Uranus in Taurus is also squaring your sun, which means there can be sudden fluctuations in the value of your investments, even to the point of something just disappearing. And so, because that's what Uranus does, it rules sudden, surprising change. And it's squaring your sign, which is the sign it rules. So you have to be very careful with everything, Aquarius. But between the health and the money, I would be real careful with the health. That is something that everyone can be threatened by a little bit. So we still have to be very careful. And I hope that you're taking real good care of yourself because you are very popular. But you can't be kidding yourself about anything, not anymore. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Well, Pisces, this is a time when, you know, you could have spent years sort of putting all of your creative urges on the back burner while you were making a living, or while you were raising a family, or while you were doing things that were more important. But actually, Jupiter is only going to be in your sign until the end of July, Pisces, and it's joining Neptune, your own ruler there. This is the time to be very creative. Your sign rules escape, and escape is something that you ought to try doing, Pisces. I don't mean escape into alcoholism, drug addiction, or sexual promiscuity. You got to stay away from all that stuff, Pisces. I mean escape from not having a lot of meaning in your life that is important to you. Sure, you may still need to really make a living, and sure, you still have family members to take care of, but isn't there some time during the week or a special day during the week that you could carve out just for yourself and only do what you feel you have the freedom to do? And that could be creative, it could be relaxing, it could be doing whatever you believe in. That way you're not kidding yourself at all, and you also don't have to explain yourself to anybody either. So Jupiter hasn't been in your sign in 12 years. It's only going to be in your sign for these 2 months, June and July. Then it goes back to Aquarius until December, and then it's next year it comes into your sign. Try to carve out a little special time for yourself, Pisces, in preparation for the wonderful year you're going to have next year. You got to get ready for it. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can see the show and read our blog on our website, starborninstitute.org. Bye.